Hello, this is the RPG Crawler, and welcome to another episode of Indie Game Friday. This week we're going to take a look at a student project, actually. It is a freely available action RPG on GameJolt, and I will put the links in the description below, as always. It is called Dungeoneers. Now, what we have here is apparently built in 15 weeks by a group of 6 as part of a project in Michigan State University's Game Design and Development minor. It is led by, I believe it's pronounced Elin Gleiber, or Elin Gleiber. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce that. It's an interesting little thing. It's got a concept wherein the characters, the multiple characters by multiple players, all share a similar experience pool, and then the game adapts to that. It's interesting in theory, but I have to make a qualifier in theory because I didn't actually get in other words, I didn't see any other players. I didn't see a community. For a community-driven roguelike that pegs itself on community-driven, I'm not even sure if that functionality is in yet, because it does look like they had to cut a lot of the expected features in order to get it done in time for a project. But going forward, it looks like they've got permission to continue with the same project in their next term or whatever. So over the next 15 weeks, you can probably expect to see this particular game improve dramatically. So let's just take a look at what it is right now. And what it is right now is a pretty basic hack and slash action game. Now, it doesn't have a lot of RPG elements in it. I'm assuming that it has some sort of loot system, because there is a loot system hinted at, and there's a loot system, an inventory equip kind of thing in the game. Unfortunately, you only get loot when you basically beat the boss. And I couldn't even beat the boss on easy. And this is me, the RPG Crawler, known for throwing himself against really difficult enemies over and over again until success. I couldn't beat that boss. And I couldn't beat that boss for a number of reasons. It's just really random. That having been said, it looks like they are either working on or already have. I wasn't sure, as I said. I didn't see any other people available. Some sort of multiplayer combat in terms of that. So I'm thinking if you've got like 4 or 5 people in there, that boss is going to go down real quick. Let's look back to the gameplay itself. You've got a basic slash attack, a basic area attack with thrown knives. You've got various power-ups that you can pick up to give you a temporary boost, and these are pretty critical for surviving throughout the entire game. It's got a decent soundtrack, kind of a thumping techno kind of thing, but be advised it does get old pretty quick. In fact, the entire game got old for me about 20 minutes in, but I think that was mostly because there's currently a lack of options. It's tagged as an RPG, it's tagged as a roguelike, but the roguelike elements are extremely limited. While it does generate rooms on the fly and they do have different contents, they're not different enough to really make them stand out. And it's basically cycling between 3 or 4 rooms, or maybe 4 or 5 rooms, on a tile-based grid as you go through it. And I think that could use some improvement once they polish the rest up. As for graphics, it does a pretty good job of keeping a really consistent art style. And even though it's really stylized, really simplistic, it is consistent throughout the entire thing. There's a lot of attention to detail paid to keep everything in that sort of I don't know how to describe it. It's low poly, very consistent, very colorful kind of art style. And that's something to be commended, because they didn't just plop a bunch of pre-bought assets down, which is always a bummer. Everything looks like it fits together. The gameplay is responsive. It does use Xbox controller. It does use the Xbox controller. It is not compatible with anything but the Xbox controller. And the Xbox controller is recommended, and I tried it, and there's some issues. There's some minor issues with controls. It's sometimes difficult to adjust yourself aside from the 8 cardinal directions. If you're trying to get something midway, it's sometimes difficult to point that way. If you are trying to attack and you're trying not to get hit, your character takes a step forward every time you attack. So that was one of the reasons I couldn't beat the end boss, because when I did get to attack, I finally took a swing, and then the very next swing, I was actually in the boss taking damage, and those bosses basically almost one-hit you instantly. The overall interface design is neat. It could use a little bit of polish, but it's neat and clean, easy to see everything. Their plans for the future include multiple classes, multiple abilities, a little bit more customization, I think. From that point of view, it looks like it will become a better game overall as they implement features. Right now, I'm hesitant to fully, recommend that, hey, this is a great RPG, because it is very much just the kernel of a game right now. But, that having been said, it is free. It is free on GameJolt, and is free on, and there is a official website for it, and I will put those in the link in the description, as always. So, hey, check it out. You may get farther than I did, and I have no doubt you will, because I'm looking at the comments and people have definitely beat that first boss. I just didn't have time for it in this particular playthrough. Let me know how you think it is, because this is one to watch. Or if not this game, at least the people involved are people to watch going forward. So, keep those names in mind, because this is actually a pretty decent little concept. For now, this has been the RPG Crawler. If you like what you've seen, remember to like, comment if you got them, and subscribe for more RPG content. Until next time, take care and goodbye.